Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the NBA slate on both DraftKings and Yahoo for Friday, January the 4th. We do have a 10-game slate for Friday night. Should be a fun one. Going to run through each position and talk about some of the guys I like on this 10-game slate, the guys I see looking at the slate the night before, the ones I'm going to be targeting at each position. And of course, I'll give my 5 plays specifically for DraftKings, 5 guys I like, and then specifically for Yahoo, 5 guys I like over there as well. Before we do get started though, guys, I would appreciate if you would drop a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, if this is your first time checking out a video on my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so that way you won't miss out on any of my new uploads. So at point guard, we'll start off here and work our way through. The top of this position, you got Russell Westbrook at 11,300 facing the Trailblazers. I do like this game quite a bit. This is the late night hammer. It should be a pretty competitive game, and it should be a fast-paced game. It should be a high-scoring game. Russell Westbrook, though, is not going to be someone I don't prioritize on this slate, or I prioritize, because Giannis is a few $100s cheaper, and I would just rather play Giannis against the Hawks. I know there's some blowout potential in that game, but this Hawks team just plays so fast. They're a terrible defensive team. It is a great spot for Giannis. Over on Yahoo, the pricing's pretty similar as well. Westbrook is $3, or Giannis is $3 more expensive than Westbrook, and I just think I would rather play Westbrook. But I'll have 10 lineups in on Yahoo. I'll probably have Giannis in, I'll definitely have Giannis in like double the amount I have Westbrook. I might have Westbrook in like 2 or 3, but I'm going to have Giannis in at least like 4 or 5. I expect there to be some pretty easy plays, or at least cheap plays on Yahoo that we can go to where we could fit in one of Giannis or Westbrook. Right now I'm going to prefer Giannis, but if I was making multiple lineups, I would probably spread out the ownership, but would lean heaven more on Antetokounmpo. But other point guards I think we can go to. I don't really love paying up at this position today. Victor Oladipo is in a good spot against the Bulls. I want to talk about him specifically on Yahoo. He's shooting guard eligible over here, and he's only $34. He really stood out to me on Yahoo at that price tag. I like Oladipo quite a bit over there, but on DraftKings where he's $8,800, just feels like a little bit too much to pay for Oladipo. Kind of the same with Devin Booker at $9K, Dame at $8,600. Just not guys I'm going to be prioritizing on this slate. I think there's some good mid-tier plays at point guard if we want to go to the mid-range. Derrick Rose's an injury we're going to have to watch. He is listed as doubtful. He's not expected to play. If he were to miss, that could potentially open up Jeff Teague at $6,200. Jeff Teague is also questionable, though, as well. And if Jeff Teague were to miss, then maybe we could go back to Tyus Jones, who's been playing really well with those guys out, has been playing a ton of minutes. He's $5,800. I don't mind him today. On Yahoo, I like him as well. I think he's relatively cheap over here. On Yahoo, Tyus Jones is $18. Right now, we'll talk about Terry Rozier when we get there. I prefer Terry Rozier over Jones, especially for cheaper. But I would play some Tyus Jones on Yahoo if Rose and Teague were to miss again, which is a possibility. Rose doubtful, Teague questionable. Rozier I want to talk about on DraftKings. He's $6,100. That kind of feels like a little bit too much to pay. For Rozier to be a good play at this price, you're probably going to want about 35 to 40 DraftKings points. And obviously Rozier can get there with Kyrie out. He's going to play pretty big minutes. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. But on Yahoo, where Rozier is only $17, just really stands out to me, specifically on Yahoo. Like other guys in the price range, you got Satoransky, who I don't mind, but I would just rather play Rozier. Dennis Schroeder, who I'm not going to play over Rozier. DJ Augustine, no way I play him over Rozier. I like Tyus Jones today, but I would rather save the dollar, go down to Rozier. No way I play Clarkson. So Terry Rozier just really sticks out to me over on Yahoo specifically. Still feels a little bit too cheap. Should probably be about $22 to $23 on Yahoo. Today he's only $17. He put up a big game last game with Kyrie out. He played 32 minutes and put up 43 fantasy points. I'd expect similar minutes. Might not get 43 fantasy points. Rozier did rack up 5 steals, and I wouldn't expect he does that again, but could definitely get 35 out of Rozier here. And at $17 on Yahoo, 35 is a great value. Or if he gets 35 at that price, that's a great value. If he gets 35 on DraftKings, it's an okay play. It's not a great play. On a 10-game slate, though, I probably wouldn't go too crazy on Rozier. If I was playing a lot of lineups on DraftKings, I'd have some exposure to Rozier, but at $6,100, I don't think he's going to be a core play. Zach LaVine's price really stands out on DraftKings. He's only $6,300. It's not the best spot here against the Pacers, but Zach LaVine is still a guy that does have a lot of upside when he's playing minutes. A couple of these games lately for the Bulls have been blowouts. They got blown out by the Magic. They got blown out by Minnesota. If we get a competitive game here against the Pacers, probably going to get about 33 to 35 minutes out of Zach LaVine. and 6,300 specifically on DraftKings does stand out quite a bit, as his price tag just feels a little bit too cheap. But now I want to talk about some maybe value plays we could go to at point guard. So on DraftKings specifically, I like Marcus Smart a ton today. He's only 4,300 on DraftKings. He's not as appealing on Yahoo. He's shooting guard eligible and he's $18 over here. And that just feels like a little bit too much to pay for Marcus Smart. But on DraftKings, where he's 4,300, where you can play him at point guard and shooting guard, he makes a ton of sense for me. Kyrie is out for this game. We already know that. So Marcus Smart should benefit a lot from Kyrie being out. He only played 22 minutes in that last game against Minnesota with Kyrie out, but he did get hurt in that game. He did leave the game and missed out on potentially about 7 or 8 minutes. I imagine Smart gets back to 30-plus minutes here and could easily put up 25 to 30 DraftKings points, which is great value at 4,300. Smart's always benefited from Kyrie being out, and at 4,300 with his price tag still cheap. We saw Rozier's price rise a ton, but Marcus Smart still remained cheap because he didn't have that great of a game. I'd expect a bounce-back game from Smart. I expect him to play more minutes today. And at 4,300, I like him quite a bit over on DK as a value option. Let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard, though. Go over this position. So at the top, we got Brad Beal at 9,200 facing the Heat. Obviously, Brad Beal going to benefit a ton with John Wall out for the season. He's 9,200, though, which feels relatively pretty. I would say this is probably a good price for Bradley Beal. I don't think he's too expensive. I don't think he's too cheap. Last slate against the Hawks where he was 8,600 with that matchup, I thought Bradley Beal was a great play. This is not the best spot facing the Heat. With his price tag up $600, I don't think Bradley Beal is nearly as necessary as I felt like he was in the last slate. His price tag also rose on Yahoo. He's up to $43. And I think if I'm just talking about shooting guards on Yahoo, I would much rather play Victor Oladipo for $9 cheaper than Bradley Beal. So not going to be playing a ton of Bradley Beal today. I think there are other guys from the Wizards I would rather target. The price tags feel a little bit too cheap besides Beal. His price rose a ton, and I'm just not sure I want to pay that for him on this slate, especially when I'm trying to prioritize Giannis. But let's talk about some other shooting guards. Brandon Ingram on DraftKings, I don't love it, 6,800. But over on Yahoo, where Brandon Ingram is only $23, I think he is a great play over here. Just continues to produce with LeBron out. Been really good these last two games, playing big minutes. 39 and 40 minutes the last two games. 48 and 36 fantasy points. We do know that Kyle Kuzma is questionable for today against the Knicks, and if Kyle Kuzma were to miss, should get a massive usage rate for Brandon Ingram. Should be handling the ball a ton. He benefited a lot last game from Kuzma leaving that game early. And if Kuzma misses, I think Brandon Ingram probably becomes one of the best plays over on Yahoo. Even if Kyle Kuzma plays, I still like Brandon Ingram quite a bit at his price tag. Like, you got Josh Richardson, Wiggins, McCollum in that price range, and I think I'd rather play Ingram over all those guys. So, love Brandon Ingram on Yahoo. If you want to play him on DraftKings, I think he's fine, but not nearly as necessary or not nearly as a priority as he is on Yahoo. But now talking about some value here, I do want to touch on a cheap play that I like at shooting guard. I played him a lot in the last slate. Once we got the news Robert Covington was out, didn't really work, but don't mind going back to the well on Josh Okogie. His price tag is still really, really cheap on DraftKings. He's only $3,900. He did start last game for Covington out. We already know that Covington is not going to play again, so I expect Okogie starts again. I would expect a much better line out of him than what he put up against Boston. Just 24 minutes and 13 fantasy points. I expect Okogie plays a lot more minutes, and I expect fantasy points to be a lot better than 13. Was a tough matchup against Boston. Not nearly as tough of a spot here at home against the Magic. Josh Okogie over on Yahoo is minimum price at shooting guard, and I think he is, or he's small forward actually on Yahoo, so he's a great play over there if you want to play Josh Okogie at minimum price. On DraftKings, he's $3,900, close to the minimum. I think he's a great play as well. I expect he gets 30-plus minutes, and I expect he's easily able to pay off this price tag. So like Josh Okogie quite a bit today as a value play if you want to go to him. But moving on to small forward, I talked about Giannis at the beginning. Love him here at home against the Hawks. Really nobody on this Hawks team is going to be able to slow down Giannis. I like him quite a bit on Yahoo as well. He's power forward eligible, and he's $55. He's expensive, but there should be plenty of cheap guys over on Yahoo to where you can fit in Giannis. You got Rozier, who's still cheap. You got Okogie, who's minimum price. There's some centers we're going to talk about on Yahoo that feel way too cheap. So pretty easy to fit in Giannis. Pretty easy to fit him in on DraftKings. I feel like Smart's a good value. I feel like Okogie's a good value. I can easily play those guys. or play Giannis when you've got those guys for cheap. Hard to not like Giannis here. He's facing a Hawks team that really plays fast, one of the fastest paces in the league. They're a terrible defensive team. Nobody on the Hawks is going to be able to slow down Giannis. Should be able to get whatever he wants. Only concern here is that this game blows out and we only get like 25 minutes out of Giannis. But I'm not going to project blowouts. That's not what I do. I just play the guys who I feel like are good plays, whether the game has blowout potential or not. So going to have a ton of Giannis today. Hopefully the game stays close. Hopefully he has a big game. If the game does stay close, should definitely get a big game out of Giannis. But now other small forwards. Don't really love Paul George up at 9,700. I would just try and find the $2,000 to get up to Giannis. Paul George is pretty expensive over on Yahoo as well. He's $50 over here, and there's no way I'm going to pay $50 for Paul George when I can get Westbrook for $2 more. I can get Giannis for $5 more. I could save $1, go down to Karl-Anthony Towns. Don't like George at all on Yahoo. On DraftKings, won't be playing him much either over here. Mid-tier plays at small forward that maybe stand out to me. Not really a ton sticks out to me here. Just looking at the slate the night before. Marcus Morris is questionable. He's 5,700. Don't really have a ton of interest in him if he plays, but if he were to miss, that could potentially help. Gordon Hayward, who did play really well in their last game, he's 5,400 on DraftKings, and I think if Marcus Morris is out, Gordon Hayward is definitely an option we could go to for cheap. He played 32 minutes last game against Minnesota, 44 DraftKings points. If Morris misses, I'd expect Hayward probably plays about that amount of minutes. I don't see him getting 44 DraftKings points, but if he's going to play 30 plus minutes, he could definitely be in play at 5,400. I think he's pretty cheap on Yahoo as well. I think he's like $16 or $17. Over on Yahoo, he's $18 at small forward. So don't mind Gordon Hayward today, especially if Marcus Morris were to miss this game. But maybe going cheap here, looking for value plays. Jeff Green at 5,100 on DraftKings, I think is still an option we could consider. Otto Porter did return last game, but played limited minutes. Only played about 14 or 15 minutes. We still got big minutes out of Jeff Green, 36 minutes from him. If Porter's going to be limited again, I think we can definitely go to Jeff Green. He's cheap on DraftKings at 5,100 on Yahoo. He's $16. Going to be a really good play. Want to check the status of Otto Porter though. If Porter is going to start and not be limited, then Jeff Green's definitely not a guy I want to go to. But if Porter comes off the bench and he's going to be limited to about the same amount of minutes, definitely have some exposure to Jeff Green. Even at 5,100 on DK, still feels way too cheap on Yahoo though. DeMar Carroll played really well last game with RHJ out. His price tag did rise though, up to 4,700. Price tag rose on Yahoo as well, a few bucks. Don't love him on this slate. I think I'd rather try and find the salary to get up to Jeff Green. Probably not going to be going back to DeMar Carroll. I liked him a lot last slate, but today, probably just going to avoid him. That's really it for small forward. Let's move on to power forward now. Well, I do want to talk about two value plays. So KCP, or one value play I should say, if Kyle Kuzma were to miss, KCP saw his price tag rise a lot on DraftKings, up to 4,900. He would definitely benefit if Kyle Kuzma misses today. KCP played 34 minutes last game, put up 37 DraftKings points. He did start the second half for Kyle Kuzma, and I would imagine if Kuzma does not play today, KCP is going to get the start. Over on DraftKings, he is really, really cheap. Or over on Yahoo, he's really, really cheap. He's small forward eligible, and he's $12 over there. If Kuzma's out, I would definitely try and find the $2 to try and get up from like a Kogi to KCP if you were to play a Kogi on Yahoo. Still like a Kogi, but if Kuzma's out, KCP is definitely worth trying to find the $2 to get up to. On at 4,900 on DraftKings though, don't think he's as necessary, but still would be an option you could consider if Kuzma misses. But let's go ahead and move on to power forward now. So power forward, looking at this position, not a ton of plays really stand out to me as like core plays. Just going over the position, who I feel like I'm going to be playing at this position. Probably going to be playing some Giannis here. Definitely going to have a lot of Giannis at power forward on Yahoo. Al Horford should benefit a lot from Kyrie being out, but his minutes have been limited lately. I think he only played like 23 or 24 minutes. Yeah, 23 minutes last game against Minnesota. Did put up 31 DraftKings points though in 23 minutes. If Horford is not limited today, I think he's a really good play at 6K. He does benefit a lot from Kyrie being out, so I don't mind him at 6K. But right now, since we don't know the minutes on Horford, I think Thomas Bryant is just as good of a play at the same price tag. Thomas Bryant's just been absolutely balling lately, been playing so well. Markieff Morris remains out. Dwight Howard remains out. So Thomas Bryant should continue to see the big minutes that he's been playing lately. 30, 36, 39 minutes the last 3 games. I expect Bryant probably plays about 36 to 38 minutes again, and is probably going to put up 35 to 40 fantasy points in a matchup with the Heat, where the Heat can go big and play Whiteside. They can play Bam Adebayo. Thomas Bryant is going to be needed here. So I like him a ton on DraftKings at power forward. That's why I really like him, is because you can play him at power forward. On Yahoo, you can only play him at center. He's $20 over here. I think he's still a good play on Yahoo, but there are a lot of good center plays in this mid-range right here. We're going to talk about Marc Gasol. We're going to talk about Whiteside. If I could play Thomas Bryant at power forward on Yahoo, I think he'd be probably one of my favorite plays. But since you can only play him at center, and there are a lot of good center plays, don't love him as much. But in my 10 lineups, I'm for sure going to have at least a couple with Thomas Bryant. And on DraftKings, where you can play Bryant at power forward, going to have a ton of him over there. Even with the price tag up to $6K, Bryant has still shown the upside to be able to pay off this price tag. If you want a tournament pivot that maybe has a little, or just as much upside for Bryant, but it's going to be way lower owned, I do like Jaren Jackson quite a bit here against the Nets. Jaren Jackson's best game of the year came earlier this year against the Nets when they did play in double overtime, I believe. He put up 50 DraftKings points in overtime against the Nets. He's really cheap on Yahoo. I like him quite a bit over here. He's only $18. He's around the same price as like Jeff Green, Marcus Morris, Harrison Barnes, Jeremy Grant. And I think I like Jaren Jackson a lot over on Yahoo at power forward. It's just a great matchup for him. Brooklyn really struggles to defend bigs. Jackson was able to dominate this team earlier this year. As long as he can stay out of foul trouble, the dude's going to be a beast. When he plays the minutes, he puts up, or he produces. Really the only time you see Jackson not play a ton of minutes is when he gets in foul trouble. Got 5 fouls against Houston, only 13 minutes. 4 fouls against Boston, 22 minutes. This game's competitive and Jackson's out of foul trouble. He's going to play probably 33 to 34 minutes and is going to be a good play at 5,600. A lot more riskier than Bryant, but still a guy that has a ton of upside for cheaper. And then the last guy I want to mention here is Luke Cornett. So he's 5,400. His price tag has really started to rise, but he's playing really well lately. He's been starting the last few games. He's been starting over Enes Kanter, and I would imagine that continues here. I want to specifically talk about Cornett, though, on Yahoo, where he's only $14. I think Cornett is a great value play at center if you do want to go cheap here. Like I said earlier, there are a lot of good center plays over on Yahoo, so I'm not going to be playing Cornett in like every lineup, but definitely if I need a cheap center, he's going to be probably one of the first guys I'll look to. Great spot against the Lakers, playing up in pace. The Knicks are going to be playing up in pace. I think this game can stay close without LeBron on the court. The Lakers, I don't really see them being able to blow out the Knicks, so I do like Cornett on DraftKings, specifically where you can play him at power forward. I like him on Yahoo as well, but since you can only play him at center over there, it's a little bit harder to fit him into multiple lineups, but he's still really, really cheap on Yahoo. But yeah, guys, I think that's it for power forward. We'll go over center now before we close out the video. So at the top here, you got Karl-Anthony Towns at 9,900, facing the Magic. Don't mind Cat at all today, especially if we get news that Teague and Rose are both going to miss again. Karl-Anthony Towns just going to have to do all the heavy lifting for the Timberwolves with those guys out. Even after he had like a bad first half last game against Boston, I think he only had like 4 real-life points after the first half. He finished the game with 28 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists. He's going to play a ton of minutes here if this game is competitive. He's going to take a ton of shots. He's obviously going to dominate the glass, going to grab plenty of rebounds. When you take Teague and Rose off the court, Cat is able to pick up a few more assists. He's pretty expensive on Yahoo. He's $49 over here, but I still like him quite a bit today, especially if Teague and Rose miss again. But I want to talk about some mid-range plays, specifically on Yahoo. We'll talk about them on DraftKings as well. Hassan Whiteside's a guy I want to touch on. He's really cheap on DraftKings, $6,800. I love him over here. Love him on Yahoo as well. Whiteside's only $25. I don't expect him to be very popular today because just really has not been playing well lately. But this is just such a good spot for Hassan Whiteside. Facing a Wizards team that struggles to rebound, struggles to defend bigs, Whiteside could totally be able to dominate in this matchup. The only concern is that he just doesn't get the minutes, but lately in competitive games, we've been getting close to 30 minutes for Whiteside. Only reason he played 23 minutes against the Cavs in that last game was because it was a blowout. Miami won that game by 25 points. In a competitive game here against Minnesota, we got 28 minutes out of Hassan Whiteside. Against the Raptors, we got 31 minutes out of Whiteside. If he plays 30 minutes against this Wizards team, he's going to absolutely crush this $6,800 price tag. So, love Whiteside here. Love him on Yahoo as well at $25. And then another play I want to talk about on Yahoo is Marc Gasol. On DraftKings, Gasol's 8,100, and I think that's his price tag, 8,100. Yeah, Gasol's 8,100 on DraftKings. He's an okay play. Don't love him over there, but on Yahoo, where Marc Gasol is $29, he might be one of my favorite plays on Yahoo. Just feels way too cheap for the upside that he has in this matchup. Great spot against the Nets. We know this is a Nets team that struggles to defend bigs. Gasol dominated this team earlier this year, along with Jaren Jackson. Both Gasol and Jackson did really well against the Nets earlier this year. If I can find the game log, it's in here somewhere. I think he went for like 50 or 55 fantasy points. Right here, 50 fantasy points, 15, 15, and 5 with 2 steals and 3 blocks. Massive game out of Marc Gasol. This game against the Nets is competitive. I'd expect another big game out of Marc Gasol. And at $29, you have like Turner for cheaper, or Turner for more, or Turner's more expensive, Ayton's more expensive, Nurkic is more expensive. Tristan Thompson's only $2 cheaper. Nance is $3 cheaper. Adams is $4 cheaper. Like, I would just much rather play Marc Gasol here over those guys. Whiteside for $4 cheaper. I think I'd play Gasol over Whiteside on Yahoo, but gonna have plenty of lineups where I have both guys. I don't expect really either to be popular. Marc Gasol just never seems to be very popular on Yahoo, but maybe that changes today. Even if he is popular, I'm still going to have a ton of him at $29. Way, way too cheap. At $8,100 on DraftKings, don't love him as much, but still wouldn't mind playing him. Just feels like he has a monster amount of upside in this matchup. But let's quickly go over some centers in the mid-range and value, and then we'll end the video. So right now, there's not a ton of mid-tier and value plays I see besides the guys I've already talked about. Like Cornette, you could play for cheap. Like him quite a bit on Yahoo if you want to go cheap at center. But that's probably it for center value plays that I see, and I think that is it for the video, guys. So hopefully you did enjoy this video. Hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button down below. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already, and if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section, or you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. But good luck tonight, guys, on this 10-game slate. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.